Kang's fingers moved across the glowing blue symbols in the archive room. The warnings about humans had fascinated him for years. These strange creatures from a distant planet called Earth had somehow frightened his people 8,000 years ago. The ancient text glowed brighter as he accessed the most restricted files. "You should not be here at this hour, young one," came Elder Yuna's voice from the doorway. Her tall, slender form seemed to blend with the shadows, only her silver eyes reflecting the archive's light. Kang straightened his posture, but did not step away from the console. "I have permission to study all historical texts, Elder." "Not these." Yuna moved closer, her long robes making no sound on the polished floor. "The warnings about humans are not for academic debate. They are direct orders from our ancestors." Kang had prepared for this conversation. But why? What could be so dangerous about a species confined to a single planet? The records describe them as primitive, barely able to reach their own moon when we last observed them. Yuna's eyes narrowed. The records also describe how they defeated a Taco battle fleet with weapons made of metal and chemicals, how they continued fighting even when victory was impossible. She pointed to a specific section of text. They speak of humans improvising weapons from farming tools, of continuing to fight despite losing limbs. Exaggerations, Kang said, though more respectfully now. Stories become distorted over time. No rational species would continue fighting when defeat is certain. "That is precisely the point," Yuna said. "Humans do not behave rationally by our standards." She touched the console, bringing up images that Kang had never seen before. Damaged Taco ships, strange projectile weapons, crude but effective traps. Our ancestors were so disturbed by their encounter that they sealed off that entire sector of space. Kang studied the images with growing excitement rather than fear. But this means they were real. Not myths, but actual historical events. "Elder, think of what we could learn if we—" "No." Yuna's voice became hard. "The Council's directive stands. No contact with humans is permitted. Ever." She shut down the console with a wave of her hand. "Your curiosity is natural, Kang, but some knowledge is dangerous." After Yuna left, Kang stood alone in the dim room. The warnings only made humans more interesting to him. If they had been dangerous primitives 8,000 years ago, what were they now? Had they advanced? Destroyed themselves? The records suggested they reproduced and evolved quickly. Their entire civilization might have transformed many times since the Taco last saw them. That night, Kang could not sleep. He messaged his closest colleagues, Dai, who studied languages of extinct species, Minji, who specialized in defense systems and had access to a small research vessel, and Junho, the best pilot at the Research Institute. They met in Kang's quarters, speaking in hushed tones. "You want to find humans?" Dai asked, his normally pale skin flushing with excitement. "The forbidden species." "I want to observe only," Kang clarified. "From a safe distance. The coordinates are in the archives. I've copied them." He displayed a small data crystal. Their planet is in an unremarkable system at the edge of the spiral arm. Minji looked skeptical. "The Council has forbidden contact for millennia. Why risk our careers, our lives potentially, for this?" "Because," Kang leaned forward, "think about it logically. If humans were truly as dangerous as the records claim, wouldn't they have expanded beyond their home system by now? Either the records exaggerated, or something happened to contain them. Or they destroyed themselves," Junho suggested. "Many primitive species do when they discover atomic energy." "Exactly," Kang said. "We won't know until we look. We can claim we're studying the unusual mineral formations in that sector. Minji's research vessel has clearance to explore uncharted systems." Minji sighed. "My ship can reach those coordinates in 14 days, but we'd need to file a flight plan." "Not if we go during the Festival of Lights," Kang said. "Security will be minimal. We could be gone and back before anyone notices." They debated late into the night. Finally, Dai spoke up. "I'm curious enough to go. This could be the discovery of our lifetime. Shunho nodded. I've always wanted to see the forbidden sectors. Minji was the last to agree. Fine. But we observe only. No contact, no signals, nothing that could reveal our presence. Over the next few days, they gathered supplies and prepared the small research vessel. They told colleagues they were taking a holiday trip to the outer colonies. No one questioned them, except for Elder Yuna, who watched Kang with growing suspicion. The day before their planned departure, she cornered him in the Institute's garden. Your access codes have been used to study the Earth coordinates repeatedly, she said without greeting. What are you planning, Kang? Nothing forbidden, he lied smoothly. I'm writing a historical analysis of early contact protocols. Yuna studied his face. Do not underestimate humans, young one. There was a reason our ancestors, with all their technology, chose to avoid rather than conquer them. I understand, Elder, Kang said, bowing slightly. I hope you do. She turned to leave, then added, the directive exists not just to protect us from them, but to protect them from us. Remember that. Her cryptic warning troubled Kang, but not enough to change his plans. The next morning, as the twin suns rose and the Festival of Lights began across the Taco homeworld, 4 young researchers boarded a small vessel and quietly slipped away from the station. From the shadows of the docking bay, Elder Yuna watched them go, her ancient eyes filled with dread. She knew the path they had chosen. It had been walked before, 8,000 years ago, with consequences that had shaped Taco policy ever since. She touched a communication device on her wrist, but then hesitated. Let them see for themselves, she thought. Perhaps they need to learn this lesson firsthand. The ship accelerated away from the homeworld, its occupants unaware they were about to rediscover why the oldest laws of their people contained a single, unambiguous command: never engage with humans. The ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a gentle shudder. Kang moved to the main viewport, expecting to see a primitive world with perhaps a few crude satellites. What greeted him instead left him speechless. Are you seeing this? He whispered as the others joined him. The human solar system buzzed with activity. Hundreds of vessels moved between planets. Massive stations orbited not just the homeworld, but several other planets and moons. Artificial lights dotted the night sides of multiple worlds. This is impossible, Minji said, her voice tight with concern. The archives said they had barely reached their moon. Day worked frantically at the communications console. I'm detecting artificial signals everywhere, thousands of them. Communications, navigation beacons, entertainment broadcasts. He looked up, his eyes wide. They're not just on their homeworld. They've spread throughout their entire system. We need to leave, Junho said, already turning toward the pilot station. The directive was clear: no contact. Wait, Kang moved to the sensor display. We came all this way. We should at least observe before retreating. For 3 days, they kept their distance, cloaking systems engaged, monitoring human communications. They learned the humans called their homeworld Earth, that they had colonies on their moon, their red planet Mars, and several large moons of the gas giants. They had mining operations throughout the asteroid belt. Their technology level is far beyond what our records indicated, Minji noted as they reviewed the data. These aren't primitives anymore. But they haven't expanded beyond their system, Kang pointed out. Maybe they can't achieve interstellar travel. Just then, they detected a large vessel emerging from what appeared to be a fold in space near the outer planets, a technology the Taco had only achieved a few centuries ago. So much for that theory, Juno muttered. Kang made a decision. We've come too far to leave without making actual contact. Look at that small outpost on their moon. Only a few humans there. If anything goes wrong, we can escape quickly. After intense debate, they agreed to approach the lunar outpost. They prepared a basic greeting message using the language patterns they deciphered from human broadcasts. To their surprise, the humans responded immediately with clear, calm communication. No panic, no aggression, just polite invitation to dock at what they called Tranquility Station. This seems too easy, Minji said as they approached the docking bay. Our records indicated humans were unpredictable, potentially violent when confronted with unknown situations. Perhaps they've evolved beyond those traits, Dai suggested. The docking procedure went smoothly. They prepared themselves in the airlock, each wearing environmental suits that concealed their bioluminescent features. Remember, we're researchers only, Kang reminded them. We observe, we learn, we leave. No formal agreements, no sharing of technology. The airlock opened to reveal two humans waiting for them. Kang had studied human appearance from the broadcasts, but was still struck by how different they looked up close. Their strange, single-colored eyes, their varied skin tones, their curiously immobile ears. "Welcome to Tranquility Station," said the taller human, extending a hand forward. "I'm Han, station supervisor. It's been a while since we've had first contact with a new species." The casualness of the statement stunned Kang. He hesitantly reached out his own four-fingered hand, mimicking the gesture. "I am Kang, research leader of the Techo Confederation." Techo. The second human perked up. "That sounds familiar." "I'm Jin, xenobiology specialist. Have we encountered your people before?" "No," Kang said quickly. "This is our first contact with humans." Han smiled, a gesture that still seemed somewhat threatening to Techo's sensibilities, showing teeth. "Your ship design is fascinating. Those curved hulls aren't something we see often in this sector." Kang exchanged nervous glances with his crew. This sector. The implication was clear. Humans had encountered other species, had traveled far enough to recognize regional ship design variations. "Is something wrong?" Jin asked. "You seem surprised." "We expected different reactions," Kang admitted carefully. Han laughed, a sharp sound that made all four Techo flinch slightly. "Don't worry. The aggressive response only happens when you threaten us. You're not planning to do that, right?" The casual reference to aggression sent a chill through Kang. Before he could formulate a response, a message flashed across a screen on the wall behind the humans. "First contact protocol activated. Diplomatic delegation en route from Earth." "Ah, the bureaucrats are coming," Han said with another smile. "They'll want to do the formal greeting thing. Hope you don't mind sticking around for a few days. They'll bring better food than we have here, at least." As the humans led them into the station, showing no fear or even particular awe at meeting a new species, Kang felt a growing sense of unease. The humans moved with easy confidence, discussing their interstellar territories and treaties with other species as casually as one might mention the weather. In the station's meeting room, displays showed maps of nearby star systems, many with human outposts marked on them. One map showed areas labeled Joint Human-Solari Territory and restricted after Melnock's conflict. "You've had conflicts with other species?" Minji asked, unable to contain her concern. "Oh, the Melnock's thing." Han waved dismissively. "That was decades ago. Misunderstanding about mining rights. Got a bit heated, but we worked it out eventually." "After how long?" Dai asked. 15 years of fighting," Jin answered as if discussing a minor inconvenience. "But the peace has held for 30 years now. They're good trading partners these days." Kang felt his stomach tighten. A 15-year interstellar war described as a bit heated. The warnings in the archives suddenly seemed less like exaggerations. "So," Han said brightly, "while we wait for the diplomats, would you like a tour? Or maybe you'd prefer to tell us about your people. We're always eager to learn about new civilizations." Too late, Kang realized the warning signs had been there all along. The humans weren't just spacefaring. They were an established interstellar power with multiple contacts, treaties, and even wars with other species. And now, a diplomatic delegation was coming, making their simple observe and leave mission impossible. He glanced at his crew members' faces and saw his own realization mirrored there. They had made a terrible mistake. Elder Yuma had been right. Some stars should remain unvisited. You must see Earth before you leave. The human diplomat Sunwoo had insisted after their meetings on the lunar base. We would consider it an honor. Kang had tried to refuse politely, but the humans were surprisingly persistent. Now, as their ship entered Earth's atmosphere following the human transport vessel, he wondered if they had made another mistake. The Taco ship descended through clouds that parted to reveal a sprawling city below. Massive towers of glass and metal reached toward the sky, connected by transport tubes that pulsed with movement. Between these modern structures stood older buildings made of stone and wood, carefully preserved alongside the new. I expected ruins, Junho whispered as they stared through the viewports. The archives mentioned primitive dwellings. That was 8,000 years ago, Day reminded him. Look at what they've built since then. Their ship landed at a designated diplomatic port where Sunwoo waited to greet them. She was shorter than most humans they had met, with a calm demeanor that the Techo found slightly less intimidating than the boisterous energy of others. "Welcome to New Seoul," she said with a small bow. "We've prepared a brief tour before tomorrow's formal discussions." Their transport glided silently through the city streets. Kang noticed something strange. Between the towering buildings were large areas of untouched forest and carefully tended gardens. "Your cities," he said to Sunwoo. "They incorporate natural spaces." After the attendant left, Kang remained on the balcony, watching the city. The humans were sending an ambassador home with them, creating a connection that could not be easily broken. Elder Yuna would be furious. The council would be in chaos, and the ancient directive would be shattered forever. What troubled him most was not the humans' technology or their strength. It was their contradictions, their ability to be multiple things at once. Diplomatic and deadly, primitive and advanced, peaceful and warlike. How could his people possibly predict or understand such a species? For the first time since beginning this journey, Kang felt true fear, not of what humans might do to them, but of how unprepared his civilization was for what humans simply were. The Techo homeworld glowed with its usual blue-green light as Kang's ship approached. But something was different. Too many vessels orbited the planet. Defense platforms had been activated, their weapons systems visible even from a distance. "They know," Minji said quietly, looking at the transmission screen blinking with urgent messages. Beside their ship, the sleek human vessel carried Ambassador Sun, who had insisted on accompanying them despite Kang's increasingly desperate explanations that proper protocols must be followed. The human had simply smiled and said, "I'm sure we can work through any misunderstandings together." When they landed, a full security contingent met them, led by Elder Yuma herself. Her normally calm face was tight with anger. "You will come with me," she told Kang and his crew, deliberately ignoring the human ambassador who stood nearby. "The council is waiting." "And our guest?" Kang asked, gesturing toward Sun. "Other arrangements have been made," Yuna said stiffly. Sun stepped forward with a relaxed smile. "I'm happy to follow whatever protocols you've established, Elder. I understand this visit is unexpected." Something in the human's easy confidence seemed to further irritate Yuna. "You will be escorted to a diplomatic compound. Please remain there until summoned." In the council chamber, 7 elders waited in their traditional semicircle. The room was sealed, unusual for governmental proceedings, which were typically transparent to all citizens. "You've doomed us all," Elder Yuma hissed at Kang once the doors closed. 8,000 years of caution, undone by your arrogance." Kang stood straight, facing the accusation. "The humans are not what our records described. They're advanced, space-daring." "We know what they are," another elder interrupted. "Why do you think the directive was absolute? Not avoid until they advance, but no contact permitted ever." The council revealed that emergency messages had been sent ahead by Elder Yuna when she discovered their unauthorized departure. Preparations had been underway for weeks, defense systems activated, citizens warned of potential danger, emergency protocols established. "Yet you return with one of them aboard their own vessel," Yuna said, gesturing toward the display showing the human ship in its secured dock. "Do you understand what you've done? They'd know where we are now." The council had established a diplomatic compound far from population centers, essentially a comfortable prison for the human visitor. Ambassador Sun was to remain there, interact only with designated officials, and leave as soon as possible with formal documents declining further contact. But humans, it seemed, did not follow expected patterns. 3 days later, Kang was summoned again to the council. There he found a furious elder Yuna and a surprisingly calm Ambassador Sun. "Explain how this human left the compound," Yuna demanded. Sun smiled apologetically. "I meant no disrespect. I simply wished to see your beautiful world. Your markets are fascinating, the bioluminescent crafts in particular." "The markets?" Kang asked, confused. "Those are 50 kilometers from the compound." "I enjoy walking," Sun said simply. Reports soon revealed that Sun had not only visited markets but had engaged dozens of ordinary citizens in conversation, sharing stories about Earth and collecting information about Techo culture. Security recordings showed her easily bypassing locked doors and avoiding detection systems. "Your citizens were very welcoming," Sun added. Many expressed excitement about cultural exchange possibilities. The council soon discovered a greater problem. Information about humans was spreading rapidly through the population. Young Techo in particular showed intense interest in these new aliens who had apparently developed interstellar travel independently and encountered numerous other species. 1 week after their return, the council reluctantly agreed to formal diplomatic meetings, if only to establish clear boundaries. During the third such meeting, Ambassador Sun accessed historical information on a public terminal, information the council had not intended to share. "Your ancestors engineered sentient beings to serve them," Sun asked during the next council meeting, her voice carefully neutral but her body language showing clear disapproval. The room fell silent. The servitors, a genetically modified species created 12,000 years ago for labor, were a painful chapter in Techo history, one they had moved beyond but never fully reconciled. "That practice ended millennia ago," an elder said defensively. "The servitors have full rights now. But they still exist as a separate species," Sun noted, "created specifically for your benefit." The implied judgment angered several council members. Discussions grew heated about human interference in internal matters. After Sun left, the council made a decision. It was time to remind these humans of Techo power. The next day, the council arranged a demonstration of Techo military capability. Their most advanced warships performed precision maneuvers visible from the diplomatic compound. Thousands of vessels moving in perfect coordination, energy weapons testing against asteroid targets, defensive shields glimmering in the sunlight. When Sun was brought to observe, the council expected appropriate awe, perhaps fear. Instead, she nodded appreciatively. "Impressive targeting systems," she said casually. "Our military would be interested in exchanging notes." The casual reference to human military capabilities sent a chill through the council chamber. That evening, Kang returned to the archives. Using his senior access, he bypassed security to access the most restricted historical records, the true account of first contact with humans. What he found shocked him. 8,000 years ago, the Techo had been expanding rapidly, encountering and usually subjugating other species. When they found Earth, they saw only primitive humans with basic technology, easy to conquer for resources. The records detailed how a Techo battle fleet had attempted to establish control over several human territories. But instead of surrendering when faced with vastly superior technology, the humans had fought with unexpected tactics. They sacrificed themselves in suicidal attacks, used the environment in ways the Techo never anticipated, and continued fighting even when victory seemed impossible. Most disturbing was the psychological assessment from the fleet commander. "These creatures do not calculate odds as rational beings should. When defeat is certain, they fight harder rather than surrendering. When injured, they continue rather than retreating. They adapt to our weapons faster than we can deploy new ones. They are not stronger, faster, or more intelligent than other species we have encountered, but they are more dangerous. The final report recommended complete isolation. Contact with humans should be avoided not because we cannot defeat them. We can, at great cost, but because they learn from each conflict. Should they ever develop technology comparable to ours, the threat they would pose is incalculable. Kang stared at the screen in shock. The ancient warning suddenly made perfect sense. His people had avoided humans not from fear of their weapons but fear of their nature, their adaptability, their persistence, their willingness to endure losses no techo would accept. And now, 8,000 years later, humans had indeed developed comparable technology, perhaps even surpassed it in some areas, and were standing on the techo homeworld because of his actions. As he left the archives, Kang passed a window overlooking the capital city. In the central plaza, he could see a gathering of young techo listening to someone. With growing dread, he realized it was Ambassador Sun, somehow once again beyond her designated areas, freely sharing human ideas with his people. The escalation had begun, and he now understood it could not be stopped. The emergency alarms woke Kang from sleep. Red lights flashed through his quarters as the automated system announced, "All citizens remain calm. Defense protocols activated." He rushed to the communications center where chaos reigned. Minji spotted him and pulled him aside. "The military hardliners," she whispered urgently. "They launched an attack on the human mining outpost in the neighboring system. Without council approval." Kang felt sick. Why? Commander Ta decided to eliminate the human threat before it spread. Chunho joined them, his face pale. He took 3 battleships. They watched the main screen in horror as the battle unfolded. The human outpost had appeared small and vulnerable in their scans. Now it revealed hidden defense systems that emerged from the moon's surface. Energy shields, precision weapons platforms, and automated interceptors. The techo attack force fired repeatedly, but not a single shot reached its target. Meanwhile, the human defenses systematically disabled the techo ship's weapon systems without destroying the vessels themselves. "No casualties," Day reported, monitoring communications. "The humans are disabling, not killing." Within 30 minutes, the attack had failed completely. The 3 techo battleships hung powerless in space, their crews unharmed but unable to fight or flee. 6 hours later, a single human vessel appeared in orbit above the techo homeworld. It was unlike any ship they had seen before, not sleek like their diplomatic vessels or utilitarian like their mining ships. This was clearly a warship, so massive it cast visible shadows on the cities below. The council gathered in emergency session, military leaders arguing for full planetary defense activation. Elder Yuna called for calm. "If they wanted destruction, they would not have spared our attack force," she said. A message came from Ambassador Sun, still on the planet's surface. She requested a meeting with the full council and extended an unprecedented invitation. All citizens who wished to attend could do so. The Great Hall, normally used only for planetary celebrations, filled beyond capacity. Millions more watched on communication screens across the world. Sun stood alone on the speaking platform, small compared to the vast space, but somehow commanding. "We understand fear," she began, her voice carrying clearly. "Your people struck because your ancestors warned you about us, and you were right to be cautious. Humans can be dangerous, but that's not all we are." She activated a holographic display showing the disabled techo ships. "Your vessels are being repaired now. Your crews will return home safely. We choose not to answer violence with violence when other options exist." Murmurs spread through the crowd. This was not how enemies behaved. "I speak now with the full authority of Earth's united governments," Sun continued. "We offer 2 paths forward." The hologram shifted to show a boundary line between stars. "The first path, complete separation. We will establish a neutral zone between our territories. No contact, no trade, no communication. We will respect your wish for isolation as we have with other species who have chosen this path. The display changed again, showing Techo and human ships traveling together. The second path: alliance, trade, cultural exchange, shared technology, mutual defense. We have such relationships with 17 other civilizations across this arm of the galaxy. Sun paused, looking directly at the council. The choice is yours. But know this: isolation in this galaxy becomes more dangerous each day. There are threats emerging that neither of us can face alone. The Great Hall erupted in voices. The council withdrew to debate while citizens formed their own passionate discussion groups throughout the city. In the council chamber, Elder Yuna and the conservative faction argued forcefully for separation. We've survived 8,000 years without them. We can continue to do so. To everyone's surprise, Kang found himself speaking for cooperation. The xenorchaeologist who had discovered the warnings now argued against heeding them. The warnings were correct, he admitted. Humans are dangerous, but not in the way we thought. Their danger lies not in their weapons, but in their ideas. Their danger lies in their ability to change us, to make us question, to inspire us to evolve. Perhaps that's what our ancestors truly feared. The debate continued for days. Public opinion divided sharply between generations, with younger Techo largely favoring engagement while elders urged caution. As discussions progressed, Kang noticed something remarkable in the city streets. Younger Techo were already adopting human gestures, already incorporating human concepts into their speech. Some had begun experimenting with human art forms, music, and cooking. The influence had begun whether the council approved or not. When the final vote came, the Great Hall filled again. The tally ran exactly even until the last vote, Elder Yuna's. To gasps of surprise, the strongest voice for caution cast her vote for alliance. The human ship departed the next day, carrying Ambassador Sun and the formal agreement for cultural exchange. The first Techo delegation would follow soon, while human representatives would establish a permanent embassy. Later, Kang found Elder Yuna in the archives, studying ancient texts. Why? He asked simply. You warned us most strongly against humans. You fought hardest against contact. Yet your vote decided everything. The ancient elder looked up from her screen. Because, she said quietly, the archives contained one final warning I never shared. Beware humans, not for what they can do to you, but for how they will change you, and how much you might come to value that change. She pointed to the text before her, written by the fleet commander who had first encountered humans. These beings carry ideas that spread like their strange diseases. After just brief contact, our own crew began questioning our hierarchies, our traditions, our very purpose. The greatest danger is not that humans will conquer us, but that we will become more like them, and wish to. Kang looked out the window at the city below. Already, human visitors walked among his people, sharing stories and knowledge. Already, his world was changing. Our ancestors feared change, Yuna said softly. But I have lived long enough to know that those who cannot adapt eventually perish. Perhaps humans, with all their contradictions, have something to teach us about survival. In the sky above, stars glowed where both human and Techo ships now traveled freely. The ancient warning had been correct. Contact with humans had changed them forever. What remained to be seen was whether that change would lead to their destruction or their renewal. The universe, it seemed, would unfold that answer in its own time.